right? Like when you look back to when they played in summer, it was like, hey, we got things like Annie Mid and Yagao's been able to get out on the map and roam, but we just haven't really seen him get that opportunity in this game. And with the 1v1 happening and going so heavily in favor of the Shy, what is the answer? Is it Jax? No, it is going to be the Orianna immediately in that first pick.
So the thing that's interesting to me here is back in game number 1, we had the Jarvan banned, we had the Vi picked, and then Bel'Veth was the AD jungler that came out. This time around, Jarvan, Vi, Bel'Veth, they are all banned away. The Poppy also being banned. That's 4 out of 6 champions in this first phase of the bans being junglers. A lot of focus on that. It does leave a lot of other OPs open. We've got the Orianna first pick for BLG, and look at this. It's more Ashe priority. That one's going to get locked in for Weibo.
Yeah, and I'm not fully surprised, right? Again, like, you can substitute this in towards Light if you want. You can just flex it into Crisp. So you've got the opportunities to play either side. But yeah, look, I mean, they're going to swap over into the Jackson. It feels like BLG are kind of going back towards more what was the meta style coming in from the group stage and going, hey, look, this is what was successful for us. Let's just try and play our style.
Well, and now they're going to actually have that Sejuani pairing. So that's why I knew they were going Jax as soon as they locked the Sejuani. So they do change up the picking order from the last time that they were on blue side, where they actually first picked the Jax. This time the Orianna wasn't banned, so they grabbed that because the Vi was banned out. That would have been the change for Weibo on the red side. So they are going to have that incredibly strong top lane pairing. The Rel comes through. We are assuming that this is going to be Weiwei's pick, of course. Yes, there is, in theory, a chance that it's going to be Ashe AD and it is going to be Rel support, but we're working under the assumption that this is jungle.
Especially since you could probably ban away a lot of those things that, I mean, well, even if you want to put the Ashe support, it's like you can move it in towards like ban Caitlyn. You can try and ban, maybe take away Kalista or something yourselves, or ban away the Varus as well, and just say, hey, look, we want to go back towards something normal.
This is interesting because we haven't seen that so far this series, but I think they're trying to think one step ahead on the side of Weibo, and they're saying, all right, what would you try next? What would be the next kind of evolution of this? And so they're saying you would play Senna TK as an answer to both the Syndra and the Ashe. It's a really strong answer that Tom Kench being able to have the Devour on that ulti to kind of deny. So even though it hasn't been a pick that has actually shown up, I think it's really smart as a denial because it's so good against 2 picks that they already have in their draft.
And then again, you can kind of see on the upside, Caitlyn already going to be taken away. Rakan going to be the other one. So I think Weibo are trying to say, hey, look, let's force you into a bot lane where we can try and play this poke heavy style and like outlane you when it comes to the 2v2. But I'm kind of curious what they want to go for. Like, is this going to be the Kalista ban? Is it going to be something like the Varus and you force the opposite one?
Yeah, it is really interesting. And also, is BLG going to go more towards kind of what I was expecting before, which was a hard engaged bot lane? Because when you have it pairing with that Orianna, you do generally want some sort of engaged support. But then that leads you to the next inevitable question, which is, if you do draft a standard bot lane, do you just get absolutely clobbered by Ashe plus another AD carry?
And this is where I think you take the Aatrox into the top lane for the Shy and you leave open that flexibility, because I think you need some sort of damage if you want to try and flex this Ashe into
it's Quinn!
Oh, okay!
So Quinn is actually, I wasn't even going to talk about this because I've given up talking about this because the only person I've seen play this is like, it's so rare, right? But you play Cleanse Quinn into the Jackson top lane. It is incredibly difficult to play. You actually use the flip on the leap strike from the Jax. It interrupts it and makes it incredibly difficult to play around.
And the Shy was the first person to bring out the Quinn in the LPL into the Renekton, and now we're getting to see it here against the Jax as well. This is such a sick pick, and I love how the Shy is just like, me AD carry now. We want more. This is everything.
I mean, I respect it, right? You know, you're the ones in the driver's seat. The Shy is the guy with the hot hand. He's been crushing this series. He's my MVP of the series so far. So give him this pick. Give him this ability to try to outplay Bin and really dominate him as he has done in 3 straight games.
And Shun is going to be hyper aware of how good the Shy is on this pick, because when Shun was the jungler for IG, he brought it out. They played heavily up around this top side to make sure it could work out. So this is going to be heavy split push. They need to get the resources into the Shy so we can carry this game.
I actually love Bard. When I'm playing against low mobility carries, I think Bard is so incredible at setting up these engages. When I look at Ashe and I look at Syndra, you just kind of point and click the ulti on their head from a screen away, and that is going to land. And then you have the follow-up potentially of that Orianna ball waiting for them, of the Jax, of that Sejuani as well. But the bot lane 2v2 is going to be the real question for me. You know, I can see how BLG could dominate later on potentially, but the question is, can you get there? Because the top lane 1v1, very difficult. The bot lane 2v2, very difficult. So I do think that is going to be the question. Can they actually stabilize? Same thing here in the top lane. If you can get Shun up towards that top lane and kill off the Shy, force his cleanse, you can all of a sudden take those all-ins. You can win 100-0 plays as the Jackson in this matchup if the Quinn does not have his cleanse. So it's going to be really, really interesting. And maybe he's not even going to go. Maybe he'll just play that TP style or Ignite or something else. But, you know, generally when they play it against Renekton, and generally when I've seen it played against Jax, it is about the cleanse.
I mean, this is the first top lane Quinn we've had in 3 years at Worlds. So 2020
That's
Worlds
crazy.
was the last time we see it. And I think this is a really, really cool matchup to see how well can the Shy, I mean, dominate Bin. He's had an incredibly strong performance against him this time. But as you say, I think it's kind of a case of, okay, let's put the resources up there, get Weibo to play on this top side once more. And if you force that isolation, well, now you've got an Ashe Heimer on that bot side that's going to have a ton of pressure. Like, it feels like a lose-lose nearly, unless you can get this early lead on that top side for Bin.
But honestly, I don't think you have any ability to really make something happen as Shun on the bot side anyway. It's going to be so difficult between Heimer turrets. They're likely going to have the push. There's going to be cleanse on the Ashe. They're going to shove you in. There's going to be that fat wave. So I feel like you just need to play towards top, and it is TP on the Quinn. So I think you full send it towards top lane on this Quinn. If you can get out his flash, you can get 100-0 CC'd easily by a Sejuani plus a Jax. You've got to be so careful about that, because if you fall behind, all of a sudden you walk back to lane and you're just getting jumped on over and over and over. And they're going to be playing for this side lane brush in top lane. In these melee versus ranged matchups, it is ridiculously important to be able to deny that ward and get it for your team.
Oh, Weiwei, he's in some trouble here. Bin's made his way up. Counter-strike coming in for the stun. Weiwei gets away with a crash down. Ygal finds a little bit of extra damage, but very fortunately for Weiwei, he doesn't lose the flash, he doesn't lose his life, and he's going to reset to heal up in time to not be behind in the jungle.
Exactly, so On is now going to be down that Ignite, you know, not really getting anything from it, and Elk is going to get pushed out. And this is going to be him taking a little bit chip, not a lot, but he obviously won't have time to base.
I think the thing is, though, you force the Shy away from that top rush, which is your win on the top end of the map, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you will end up having Chris being able to do whatever the hell he wants with his turret, so imagine he'll set up in that very front turret, in that first brush, and the second brush, as you would usually with Heimer, but at least you give Bin the opportunity to stay up at a wave rather than just losing it immediately.
And you can see Elk knows how heavy the poke is going to be in this lane. It's Boots 4-pot, right? So we're moving back into this old style meta where it is all about the poke, it is all about avoiding that, and he is stacking those turrets up there, and Bin's just flashing on him. The shot is going to have to respond flash likely, but he's using that Fleet Footwork proc to get away.
Yeah, really nicely done. Just realized, hang on, I've got the Fleet Footwork. I can do whatever the hell I want here, so he's going to be fine. And now you have an opportunity where if Weiwei can get up here, he can go for some sort of flash stun and actually set up. And you can see here, Bin trying to just keep himself at to get some of the CS, but the Shy's going to be able to whittle him down so well.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult, especially when you committed the flash, because that's generally your play.
Right.
As you wait for your jungler to come up, you E-flash, you stun him, and then the jungler falls up and you hope you get a kill. But the fact that he actually committed that and the Fleet Forward proc was there meant he just kind of walked away, but he's going to play it aggressive, and you have to be willing to do this in these melee versus ranged matchups. If you just try to sit back and farm, you will get poked down and you will not have a chance. So every time Leaf strikes up, you basically have to jump on him, and you're going to be having to be willing to play these really kind of razor-thin margins where you're putting yourself at risk always.
Yup, and you can see the Shy. He waits until the counter-strike is about to expire, and then he fires with the enchanted auto attack, making sure that he's getting those trades back. That's what it's all about in melee versus range. The melee is going to win in the upfront trade, but in mid lane, it's Xiaohu now getting jumped on. Shun coming around for the gank. Arctic Assault leads the way, but Xiaohu flashes over the wall into the river. Weiwei was there waiting on him, so Shun's not going to flash after. They'll take that summoner spell as the reward.
That'll give control to Yago over this mid lane, though, and you can see immediately Shun starting to move in. Weiwei spots him, misses the crash down, though, and Shun would be able to take a good chunk off the jungler as well, giving more control to the top side of BLG.
Exactly, and it's red buff advantage as well for Shun, so he's just going to keep going, trying to poke him down, and now he could move up towards that top side, continue harassing him, deny him from taking this potential red. I think he saw his jungle pet, so he should know that he's moving up towards Krugs. Could continue contesting him if he wants, but it's just going to be Shun starting up the red, and is going to get both of these reds. Should be able to maybe move back down in towards the river and grab the scuttle as well.
I think he then needs to make a trip top, because you can look at where that wave is stuck for Bin. It's not in the best of spots. He really needs to crash that, and Weiwei has healed up, so he's going to be in an okay spot. On being called up as well to the mid lane to try and help relieve some of this pressure, but we'll leave Elk still struggling in that bottom side. Although, as I say, struggling, he's doing all right when it comes to CS.
This. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's nice. Just delay the recall a little bit. The wave is stacking and going towards him, so it's not going to be the end of the world, but Elk, oh, nice sidestep.
Very clutch there. Needed to avoid that stun. If you hit that one, the follow-up's going to be devastating.
And that was really quick because he swaps to the red gun, uses the Q for the speed up, and then sidesteps. So if he doesn't get that movement speed, he actually gets stunned there and could have potentially died because I think Ignite plus the extra autos that would come through, at the very least, he's going to have to use Cleanse, Flash Away maybe, you know, so it would have been a rough spot. But nicely done there by Elk, managing in a pretty tough spot.
Yeah, and at the moment, I will say for BLG, they're doing a good job of managing what Weibo are trying to achieve. So, Bin burnt his flash, but because Shun has been active on this top side, it's made it difficult for Weibo to really try and contest. The Smite steal for the level up, though. But that one hurts a little bit, but it's still, again, you're keeping control for Shun on this top end, but Elk is going to need some help in a little while. This lane is going to become more and more oppressive.
Crisp is doing a really good job with the rockets, tagging him multiple times there. And you can see that Shun is not covering any potential dive on top side. This is kind of similar to what happened in that last game where it was the Jax. He didn't cover and then ended up having Bin get really punished on that dive. In this case, we know, of course, that Weiwei has based. And Shun is going to be fine to continue clearing down towards bot side, but with the bouncing wave, it's in an awkward spot for Bin.
And with Light and Crisp having this control over the bottom lane, every time we pan down here, we're seeing Elk take big chunks of his health bar. That's a really good sign for Weibo, considering as these games have been the top lane severely favoring them, it's been Elk and On that have got the better of him in the bottom lane the past couple.
I will say, though, like, this is kind of the Chris special in the LPL. He's still one of the few support players that is willing to bring out the Heimerdinger and is putting in good work. So I think now that Light and Crisp have that opportunity to play that little bit more aggressive, you'll see them leaning over towards, as you can see for Weiwei at the moment, things like Dragon, getting control there. And as long as BLG aren't getting their hands on Dragons, it becomes very difficult for them to force team fights that would then lend itself in towards Bin being a bit more useful, being able to play towards their compositional strengths, and it'll open up the Shy to be more of a nuisance.
Well, just look how there's no vision on this entire top side for BLG. So Bin cannot play to it. We know that Weiwei is actually doing the Dragon, and now he gets the message, but he couldn't push in the wave. He actually had to back off, and he's going to have to spend his DP on a completely screwed top wave to try to crash that in because he didn't have any info on where Weiwei was. So it's definitely a tough spot now for Bin. Spends that TP, is walking back, and we'll see if he can fix it as they're taking Dragon.
They're taking Dragon, but Weiwei's at half HP. Yagal's rotating over. Shun ready to come in over the wall. Weiwei should drop here. The flash has already been used. He wants to try to re-engage, but they have the damage to bring him down. First blood money goes over to Elk, and now Crisp has to try to flash to get away over the wall. Shun's in hot pursuit, and he needs a little bit more for the CC. The Heimerdinger is stunned up and gunned down. Elk gets the first 2 kills of the game.
That is massive. Getting those kills for Elk is such a big deal, putting him nearly 700 gold ahead of Light. He's in this position where he's supposed to be the one taking that punishment, getting beat down on the bot side, getting him first blood, and the second is huge.
But this is where we start to see the faults of Weibo coming back to bite them. They didn't need to fight that. They didn't need to overextend. They got the Dragon, get the hell out of dodge. But instead, they end up giving those kills across because they think they can take the fight. And BLG are happy to get some gold onto that bot side.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Weiwei was really low in this position, you know, and I think you just had to at least give up Weiwei, and then the others could run, right? So you're always going to lose that one kill. I don't think he's ever going to get out, but I agree. Chris could have just ran for the hills here early on, and he would have likely been out scot-free. Instead, does go for the flash. The follow is there from Shun.
And I think it's worth at that stage, right? Again, Dragon stacking is a big port of call here for BLG, and now topside.
Oh, Bin's going in. The Shy tries to get away from it. He'll survive the all-in attempt. He knows he can't go much further than just those couple of auto attacks here for the follow-up. As On wants to go on a magical journey. He takes a lot of damage, but he gets away in time. Light down to 400 HP too, as Elk has the red-white guns, and Crisp has no flash. Elk just follows him through the tunnel and buries him there.
It's Skeet shooting in the tunnel, knocks him out of the sky there. Elk on a killing spree now in the bot lane, and Bin. I think Shy kind of messed up his wave, because off of that wave that was pushing out from Bin, where he TB'd back and tried to fix it, the Shy kind of over-pushed, and the wave was stacked towards Bin. He took a cheater recall, walked back to lane, and it meant that the Shy had to push up to actually try to fix his wave, and then from that situation, he was able to look for the all-in, trade flashes, and now, if I'm Bin, I'm calling for my jungler. Get up here, get up towards top, kill this Quinn, and put me in a position where I can take some plates, and then you can own that top lane.
All right, and that's what I was going to say. Take the fight at Riftchild here as well, because the Shy without flash isn't going to be able to enter this fight, because you can immediately turn a Shun. You can set up with Yagao. Like, this is where it becomes really difficult that you don't have that early setup for the Quinn. So now Bin going to be in a position where they can give some of those resources back, especially with Elk having 3 kills on that bot side. He doesn't need as much.
We've been seeing fights for these Rift Heralds in this series, but that one has no resistance from Weibo as BLG can take it. There were no flashes available for any player on Weibo. In fact, the only flash that's currently up is the Fed Aphelios in Elk. Not really a fight that you want to be taken from Weibo's side. It'll remain a 3-0 game. It'll remain almost a 1,500 gold lead for BLG.
You can see, though, that Weibo are trying to see if they can cover where that potential Rift Herald is going. Moving light towards mid to try and hover there for a second to collect the wave, but he's going to now move back towards bot side. But honestly, if I'm Shun, I just go, right, I'm going to clear out my top side jungle, wait for Bin to slow push this wave into the top side, and then we crash it with On already having pressure here. And the Shy can't really do anything about it. Even with Weiwei here, a good ult from On, if he hits that level 6 before it comes up, will change everything.
And that's why I think Weiwei isn't going to wait around behind him. He's going to move up into that lane, make sure that he's in position to be able to respond. Good vault there from the Shy, interrupts the Q. But this is where the problem comes, if you're not way ahead, is that the Q from Jax is a way lower cooldown. And if they go for this dive, though, this can get turned around. Weiwei's here.
Weiwei's here, but Yagao and On have also rotated up. It would be a 4v2 dive. As you can see, Crisp also making his way up. There were pings coming out from Weibo on the ward in the middle of top lane that Yagao would have been able to teleport to and find a further counterattack. So BLG call it off.
Crisp, though, still stepping up, doesn't have flash. They know that.
Shun, nice aim on the Sejuani ult. He's going to lock down Crisp, and Yagao gets the kill. Money for the carries. BLG finding it 4 times in the first 10 minutes.
Nicely done. And that plate that just went down mid, I don't think anyone was actually in range to get it, but Elk potentially in trouble.
Yeah, Elk had to pop the cleanse already, trying to get away from Light. Now flashing to try to escape Xiaohu. The follow-up, the unleashed power. Xiaohu gets a big shutdown, but it'll cost his life to get it done. Yagao should be the one picking up the money here, and BLG makes it an even trade.
Good punch there from Weibo, but it's a great counter punch, and now Bin, you gotta play this mind game. Can he actually use that counter-strike properly?
Well, survives for now, but the Shy and Weiwei are not done yet. Still stepping up, still chasing him away. He's gonna lose these minions to the turret.
This, though, is Weibo saying, hey, look, we're not even looking at Dragon. We're just going to try and get some resource onto the Shy. So off the reset from Shun, I think he'll move mid. You'll be able to crack open 2 turret plays there for yourself, lean in towards the Dragon. And for Weibo, they've just lost complete control over the bot side because of that first Dragon fight. And even with this TP play, they thought maybe we can get something to work in our favor before we kick off this next fight. But the fact that you already had the Sejuani moving down, the immediate TP being answered from Yagao as well, means he just go 1 for 1 on the trade, and still BLG have control in this bottom half of the map.
At the very least, they get the summoners, though, off the Aphelios, so maybe an angle to try to make something happen on him. With Weiwei having flash, Shun is going to have to get out of there, but Crisp is behind him. This is going to get a little bit weird, but I think he should be okay.
Yeah, Arctic Assault over the wall. Only the Heimer is waiting. Crisp has been level 4 for a really, really long
He's trying his
time now,
damnedest.
so he doesn't do a whole lot of damage.
Why rush?
To Shun. Flash out from On to escape the stun from the grenade. Weibo bringing up more to try to find a collapse here, but Bard is a slippery target. Magical Journey gets him to safety.
Well, this is actually really big for Jax, though. You just get a little bit of time in the side lane, be able to get some of these plates, be able to get some uncontested gold, and you can drag yourself back into this matchup. He's honestly been doing pretty well, you know, given the counter pick here from the Shy, and given the fact that he hasn't really gotten much help from Shun. It's been mostly isolated 1v1. Maybe gonna get chased down a bit now, though. We'll see.
Yep, the Shy's going after him, but because of the fact that he went those plated steel caps, he gets away for now. On with a Tempered Fate, follows it up with a Binding. Only stuns up Weiwei as Crisp walks away from it.
Yeah, good guy Weiwei trying to get in front of it there a little bit, but there's the ult.
Magical Journey's already been summoned, but the chain CC is extreme. On goes on the Journey anyway. He gets away all the way back behind the turret, and Weibo's best efforts still come up a little short.
But the thing is, you're preventing BLG from being set up with this Rift Herald. You can see it's getting very close to timing out, and they just don't really have control over the map. So Shun, I think, has to start moving down towards his bot lane and say, hey, look, we're just going to try and do something. You can see there, actually, doesn't even get time. He just immediately tosses in a mid lane.
And this is why on Bard you can go these tankier builds, right? He's going Relic Shield, not Spell Thieves, but
Shun stunned up. Arctic Assault back over the wall, has to flash away so the Syndra can't follow it up with anything else. Unleashed power on its own was not enough to secure the kill. The Herald ends up wasting its time on the minions, and that means no value comes out of this objective just yet. They shut it down before the charge.
And now Shun is low, so if you're Weibo, you push mid, go for a Dragon, potentially set that up, maybe even interrupt Bin, who's trying to take this tier 1 on the cost.
On again, under some pressure, but again, getting away thanks to the Magical Journey, just taking him through the shortest amount of terrain. Bin at least picks up most of that turret down there in the bottom lane. Not quite all of it. The turret plate still standing for another 15 seconds was enough to give the thing enough damage resistance to stay standing.
Gotta say, pretty big mistake though from Shun not being able to get that Herald off. That first one especially, that's just free gold, right? That you're gonna be able to drop down. You just drop it in range of a tower, you're getting a couple plates, you're getting quite a bit of gold. That's a kill worth of gold that they just missed out on for really no reason. Bin, though, did get quite a bit of time in bot lane as the Shy is starting to move around the map more. And when Bin gets the one item and the Shy is still just on this Shiv, I think there's definitely opportunities here for him to make something happen.
Oh, the Shy gonna lose his opportunity for a back here, but a TP is coming in to reinforce. On and Shun together do not have enough damage to burst him down in time with Xiaohu teleporting in. Scatter the Weak will not find a target.
Look top though. I mean, Bin again has just been a nuisance on sides. I mean, that was more to see if they could catch Xiaohu, I think, on the reset. That's not really going to do much, but I think the big problem is, the Shy on the reset, but the problem is this static Shiv Quinn isn't far enough ahead to take over the game, and if you're not in a position to take over the game, Bin is just going to outscale you. Bin is going to do more in team fights, and look at where the position is now. Weibo can't even contest the dragon that they looked like they had full control over.
Yeah, exactly. It gets really, really tough, you know, and Leaf Strike right now, 7-second cooldown. Quinn E, the 10-second cooldown, but as you get more CDRs, you get those items coming in for the Jax, it becomes really different. Where, you know, Jax later on in the game, you're like a 3-4 second cooldown on your Q, and he's just jumping on you nonstop. Then this whole interaction that makes the matchup so positive for Quinn stops really mattering, because it's like, great, you vaulted his Q, and then he Q'd you again.
And I think a large portion of that is the fact that the bot lane isn't going the way it should for Light and Crisp. The early dragon fight really caught the Shy out, and this is going to catch him as well.
Yep, Yagal's coming up to try to get the punish here on the Quinn. As Bin jumps in for a little bit more. Shockwave, nice moves from the Shy, but they ain't nice enough. Yagal goes on a killing spree.
And now you got Rift Herald that's just spawned as well, so at least you get a second attempt here for BLG to crack that into one of the turrets, but Bin is already cracking heads in the top side. He's going to be able to take this turret as well, and it just feels like BLG, they've weathered the part of the game that they needed to, and now they're getting to live their best lives.
I mean, Gao is quietly having a really good game. That TP down towards bot side to punish Xiaohu, now a TP up towards top side to help Bin. Shun has been, you know, less active than his mid laner, it feels like. You know, Yagao has kind of been everywhere. Those early kills that got Elk going really, I think, made this game so difficult for Weibo. And the fact that Shy is not able to create this massive advantage that he has been in these other games is putting him in such a tough spot. Now they have to kind of really depend on picks, I feel like.
You can also see a little bit of a difference here in the Jax compared to what you see in most games. No Divine Sunderer, Trinity Force instead. 4 out of 5 targets are squishy, so the percent HP damage isn't as valuable, and the extra utility of the Trinity Force giving you the speed as you chase targets, very useful in those sidelines.
Exactly, and now he's just going to keep jumping on the Shy and getting these chunks out. Ulti grenade, looking for the pick, but there's no one can follow up. That wasn't going to get anything done.
Yeah, I mean, Crisp is trying his best, but he's been set so far behind that he can't really do anything. Xiaohu, on the other hand, definitely making things work there against On, going to force him back. Weibo are going to start up this Rift Herald, but I mean, with BLG in position and Jax now threatening your bot side turret, you can't stick around here, Weibo.
Yeah, exactly, and if they can stop the Shy from going back, could be tough, but he is going to be able to just mount up on the birdie, fly on down to bot lane. But Bin now can move over towards mid if they want. They can threaten in towards this mid tier 1 as well if Weibo were to start up the Herald. But On is here to help.
Oh, they find the Tempered Fate. On getting in position. Immediate Sejuani ulti over the wall. The Shy just gets punished. Huge moves coming out for BLG. It's going to set Bin up to be able to take out this tier 2 turret. That's the enemy top laner down. That's so much of that mobility around the map removed.
It's given Nivea vibes for the top laner at the moment, but in mid.
Oh, nice shutdown coming out for Weibo. It's Xiaohu getting the kill as Elk is ignited and forced to fall back all the way underneath the tier 1 turret. TP coming in now to try to help him out, help make this defense. Tier 1 turret not dead just yet. Bin has arrived, takes a little damage as soon as he gets there.
Weibo could even go up towards the Herald now if they want. They are moving up towards that side. We'll see if they started, if it's just going to be a move to push out that top wave. But On has been so good on the Bard this game. He's really been riding that line. You want to be harassing your opponents. You want to be making them use those spells on you. And he's going a relatively defensive build, you know, gets the early mercs to deal with a lot of the CC. And I think we're going to see quite a few pairs. We already have 3 done on BLG this game.
Oh, yeah.
And they are looking really, really good.
And you saw it briefly on your screen as well, 1,000 gold lead for Bin now on his Jax.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be feeling a lot more comfortable in this game 4 than he has throughout the rest of this series. And BLG immediately starting up this Rift Herald as well. They have the Shy for Weibo trying to push in on bot side, but he's a long way from hitting any of those towers.
I just don't really know how the Shy is going to play it out now. You know, generally when you fall behind as Quinn, your team fighting is pretty hard because you're relatively low range and there's a lot of CC over on the other side that could get you burst down. You can't win the 1v1 against Jax. So then your option, especially with these Shiv kind of builds, where you just kind of ult to a side lane, you push out the wave, then you ult and you go somewhere else. You look see if you can group, find an odd number fight, then you go somewhere else. You just keep kind of playing this like guerrilla tactic style where you're just pushing waves and you're looking for 2v1s, you're looking for 3v2s, you're looking to use the speed that your ultimate gives you to move around the map because you're not strong in an even fight anymore.
But that's why I think things like the Bard are such a good answer here, because you can slow down that opportunity by ulting your ally to make sure they're safe, or even using a magical journey to travel your team around the map to try and match some of that speed. So this just becomes incredibly difficult for the Shy to try and operate. And from this position, BLG, yes, they don't have the dragons, but you've got a Baron that's going to come up. They can start to force team fights. They can start to play for vision. You just don't have the control you need for this team as Weibo.
Yeah, and I think if Weibo aren't set up first, any objective that you try to walk into where BLG are already there, you're going to force the flash from Xiaohu or Light so easily with On's And if you don't have that, you're just dead. I don't think there's really much of an ability for them to kind of protect and keep people away.
Ooh, tempered
swing and
fate.
miss.
Not going to connect that one, so Weibo will be happy with it. The Shy trying to use that speed again, jumping in after Bin, chases him through the leap strike away back to his own minions, finds a little bit of poke, but meanwhile, the Rift Herald summon up in mid lane. Unlike the first one, this one's gonna get the charge. Tier 1 turret finally breaks. That's 4 turrets to 2 for the side of BLG.
And Yagao was pushing bot lane, and now they're going to TP on the Shy.
The Shy's the target, magical journey coming out for On as they immediately arrive with a TP from Yagao. No way out for the Quinn. The arrow comes in from a long way away, but it's not enough. Another kill over to BLG, 8-2 now.
3 straight TPs from Yagao, resulting in kills. Mr. Worldwide for BLG right now.
Just every time I just think his name Toothpaste, and I'm just like, robot toothpaste. It's like
My
the
man,
next
big
big
base
brand.
dominating in the bot lane, keeping things clean and sparkly in the top lane.
And he's got teeth now as well, because he's got a couple of kills himself. But for BLG, just give him the opportunity to go for Dragon here and get something as well. So for Weibo, I just don't know what you do here. As you can see, the opportunities to try and play for side lanes is just completely out of control. Bin is massive with 2 items now completed. You were talking about, hey, look, getting that cooldown on the leap strike, Spear of Shojin going to help out with that perfectly, and you can just chase the Shy down now in these scenarios.
It's so tough, right? I think you're just looking for picks. You're hoping that you can hit an Ashe ult on a squishy target and burst them down, right? And that is going to be really just the Orianna, but it becomes very, very difficult as they're just making these plays. This is how Quinn wins matchups, is you have to push, you have to play aggressive, you can't play slow, or every time you're fighting, Jax will have leap strike and you'll just lose, right? It's just kind of how it works. So you expose yourself to getting attacked, you expose yourself to these TPs. It hasn't even been about Shun getting up there and helping Bin at all. It's been about Yagao and it's been about On.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing to see Yagao kind of have these moments, because we just said coming into this draft, hey, look, the whole story for the summer matchup between BLG and Weibo, and a lot of BLG was Yagao getting onto his roaming champions where he can be a Talia, where he can get an Annie, start to roam, have an impact in side lanes, and set up for Elf, set up for Bin to be the main stage carries. Now, Orianna, not the traditional sense, but as you've been pointing out, Azale, the TPs from Yagao have been crucial in keeping control in this game.
Exactly. Orianna, not a roaming champion, not with that attitude. Yagao will show you.
Man, it's a big, big difference all over the Rift. We're talking about having the second completed item for the Jax. In the jungle, it's the Abyssal Mask, already done for the Sejuani. Does a lot to amp the damage of the Ori and the Jax too, because remember, he's a split damage champion. And BLG now moving into the enemy jungle, placing down some vision, removing the wards of their opponents. The Baron is up, and they want to scare Weibo into having a check and make sure they're not doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, for BLG, it feels like they're trying to power some of that 2020 Sunning to see if they can try and push their ways in towards finals. It feels like they're kind of the ancestors, with Bin still being there, On training under Sword Art, to now be popping off on the Bard as well. I think this is where BLG, as long as they can play it slow, as long as they can keep control over this Baron, they should be able to push us towards that game 5.
We have to take a step back and realize that this is now, assuming this goes to chalk, you know, BLG have a big advantage. They're looking like they're favorites for this game. If they win, that's 4 straight blue side wins, and it's 4 straight dominant wins from blue side. None of the games have actually been very close across 4 games, right? And that would mean Weibo would be back on blue side for game number 5. and BLG would have to problem solve in the draft, figure out what they're going to do. But for now, they're going to be the ones starting up the Baron and trying to force Weibo's hand.
Exactly. Weibo had both solo laners down there in the bot side looking to make a play on Bin. But now BLG just don't have the damage without the Jax there to pose a serious threat onto the Baron. The Shy trying to get away. Tempered Fate forcing the flash. Nicely done.
And you can see how quickly the Shy can get to the top side, but you can see how quickly the Shy needs to exit as soon as he gets there. BLG quickly turning on him to make sure that now he's uncomfortable, because not only does it make it more difficult for him in a team fight having the flash down, but in his side lane, that opens up Bin to very quickly jump onto this Quinn and just make sure that, well, if Xiaohu isn't there, that's a dead bird.
That's a solo kill waiting to happen, absolutely. If he shows up, Bin is going to Q on him, he's going to eat it, and then he's going to flash on your face, and you're dead. There's not really any way out of that from that position. The Shy now, though, does get the Gale Force, so has a little bit more build mobility with that. But I don't know if it's really going to be enough at this point. His Bin is so incredibly strong. Yagao so incredibly strong. All the carries are really fed on the side of BLG, and it's just a matter of them playing a clean game from this position, which thus far they've been doing a really good job of. They're just trying to continually contest vision up around this top side, up around the Baron, and force Weibo come in and then look for picks.
I think it's also been a great performance from On as, okay, there we go, Xiaohu nearly gets the same treatment, but here comes the handsome support.
It's flash for flash, and Xiaohu's gone. On shows up again. The Bard anywhere and everywhere all of the time, getting him another kill.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, is that On feels like he's been everywhere. He's been covering topside. He's been roaming mid. On has had a fantastic game on this Bard, and he's been such a big playmaker for BLG. Now he's getting to make his name in the semifinals to see if he can take down Weibo here.
Weibo feel like they gotta do something. The Baron's already down to 5,000 HP. Bin's coming in, goes for the stun. Weiwei's found out immediately. Tempered Fate to lock down the enemy jungler. Sejuani ulti's not gonna hit a target. Weiwei still being focused. El grabs the kill on him as Bin's going in, looking to chase the Shy all the way out of the fight. Still 2 dead on the side of Weibo, but Xiaohu's about to respawn, and he has TP once he does. Right back onto the Baron go BLG, as On could be in some trouble. He tries to get away from the Harrier procs, but he has to go on a magical journey to do it. BLG are losing HP, and now they have to continue to disengage. Light taking a lot of damage from Yagao. He pops the cleanse, but Yagao dunks him with the ball. Now On might finally die here in the back line, but not quite yet. The Shy will drop instead, and Elk's coming to join the party. BLG only lose their support, and they ace Weibo.
Yagao is just going crazy. It's Yagao for BLG. Popping off, takes down Light, flashes in aggressive into the bot lane, in the 1v2, makes it happen. And BLG onto the Baron here. Bin gonna be zoning out Weiwei. There's no way in.
Yep, it might be full HP versus 20% HP, but Jax versus Rel, that's gonna favor Jax every single time. Hit him with the helicopter and take the Baron as the prize. BLG are primed to win this game.
There was no other way than this series to go the distance when you look at them, and it looks like BLG are primed to do just that again. A brilliant fight here. Look, a little bit messy at the start where you get the miscommunication on ults, but after that, you've got Bin who jumps onto the Shy, forces him out, while the CC goes on to Weiwei to keep him in check, and then it's just a case of falling back, drawing Weibo in once more, and waiting for these cooldowns to come back up so you can actually start to turn this fight once more.
Exactly. Weibo are starting to really chase in. You watch the Shy as well as Xiaohu. They go over on the magical journey, and Yagao says, I see an opportunity here. He catches Light with the ulti, flashes forward to follow. The rest of the team piles in. They get the kill, and then they can just retreat back here as On hits another binding. Yes, he goes down, but not without getting a huge play for the team.
Also, massive Aftershock proc coming in from Shun at the end, right as the ultimate from Xiaohu came out. Got the Aftershock proc so he didn't go down. I was able to provide the CC alongside On then to finish off Xiaohu so no one dies. And now BLG, you just get to push in, you get to play the game as you want.
This has been the Dragon Soul Lotto. 3 Infernal Souls in this series that are actually up for grabs in a lot of poke-heavy comps. This one not so poke-heavy for BLG, but who knows if it's even going to last that long. They have the Baron, they're pushing in, and there's not really any recourse for Weibo.
The Shy had to use the Gale Force to get away from the Tempered Fate. Mid lane, tier 3 turret already gone. The one in bottom under a lot of pressure. Weibo trying to find any sort of a chance to punish these guys. On again, just so slippery on the Bard. Impossible for them to lock this guy down. 1 death so far the entire game as the Shy gets caught jumping in out of the base gate. Immediately followed up with a Sejuani ulti. The damage over the wall from Elk is enough. It's a 5v4, and BLG is kicking in the door against Weibo. The damage on light is enough with the shockwave, and that should do it. 2 more down, 2 left to go. BLG wants silver scrapes, and they're gonna take it right here. Chris and Xiaohu can do nothing to defend. The Nexus turrets are reduced to dust, and we are going the distance. It's time for Game 5.
There was no other way that this series could have ended. Game 5 is on the cards. We've seen the ups, we've seen the downs of both of these teams, but only one of them will get to advance to the World Finals.
What a series it has been, so back and forth. But now it is going to be Weibo back to the blue side, which has won every single game in this series, and BLG are going to have to solve for that, going to have to figure out what to do in the draft.
This one is truly entertaining us here today, my friends. I wouldn't have it any other way than a Game 5 here to kick off the semifinals of Worlds. We're going to toss to a break now, but once we're back,